I was elbow-deep in bread dough when my mother stepped into the kitchen, her expression unmistakable, the tight-lipped, cautious look that always meant one thing: she and Dad had been talking about my future again. "Anna," she began, nervously twisting the ties of her apron, "your father and I have been thinking." I kept kneading, letting the rhythm of the dough calm me. Sunlight streamed through the cafe's tall windows, glinting off the copper fixtures I'd hand-picked during the renovation. Every corner of Sweet Dreams Bakery and Café bore my mark, from the nostalgic wallpaper to the handcrafted menu of rustic breads and pastries. "Let me guess," I said, steadying my voice, "you want James to take over." Her face lit up with what looked like relief, confirmation I'd spared her from delivering the hard part. "Yes, you know how hard things have been for him since he lost his job. Your father believes this could be a great opportunity. He does have an MBA, after all." I let out a laugh, hollow and sharp. "Mom, James doesn't know anything about running a bakery. He's never even worked in a restaurant. He can't cook to save his life." "But he knows business," she insisted, "the numbers, management, all the parts you struggle with." I stopped kneading, turned to face her squarely. "Struggle with? I've turned a profit every single month since opening, paid off the loan in half the time. We've got a waiting list for custom orders." But it was like she didn't hear me. To my parents, I was still the reckless daughter who dropped out of business school for culinary school. And James? Still the golden child, even after getting fired for the reckless decisions that sank his firm. "Your father already spoke to James," she continued, undeterred. "He's thrilled about the idea. Just imagine, you could focus solely on baking, and let James take care of the rest." I wiped my hands on my apron, leaving pale smears of flour. "This is my business, Mom. I built this place. Sure, Dad co-signed the loan, but I'm the one who turned this building into something people love." She reached out and touched my arm, her expression soft but patronizing. "We just want what's best for everyone. James has a family to think about." "And I don't?" I said quietly. "Do my dreams mean less because I'm single? Because I'm not a man?" "Don't be so dramatic," she chided. "Your father's already drawn up the papers. James will be stepping in as managing director next month." My stomach dropped. The room spun for a second. "He can't do that," I said, but even as the words came out, I remembered the clause in the loan agreement, the one that gave my father certain rights. I had agreed to it, naively believing he'd never actually enforce them. That evening, my father and James showed up after closing. We sat in one of the booths I'd reupholstered myself, the vinyl still warm from the day's customers. I listened in silence as they laid out their plan for the business I had built. "We need to streamline," James said, scrolling through a presentation on his tablet. "Cut down the menu, ditch the niche stuff, focus on scalable items, no more of that artisanal fluff." "That fluff is why people come here," I said flatly. He rolled his eyes. "They'll adjust. We're thinking bigger now, franchise opportunities, national reach. Time to move beyond this whole small-town fantasy." My father nodded. "James has a vision. This place needs to evolve, become a real business." I looked around at the cafe, the handwritten chalkboard menus, the wall of smiling customers, the pastry case filled with my creations. Every detail had a story, every corner was a piece of me. And they were ready to tear it all down. "I won't do it," I said, though we both knew it was a bluff. Dad's jaw clenched. "Then I'll call in the loan. You can't buy me out, Anna, and we both know it." He was right. Every cent I'd earned had gone back into the business, new equipment, staff training, renovations. I had built something lasting, but I didn't have the liquid cash to wrest control from him. James leaned back with that smug look I'd known since childhood. "Don't be difficult. You can keep baking your little treats. Just let someone who understands business handle the grown-up stuff." I stood slowly, reached into my pocket, and pulled out my keychain, the small copper whisk my first employee gave me on opening day. I set it on the table. "Go ahead," I said evenly. "Take it. You're the man of the family. After all, you must know best." James snatched the keys. Dad began a speech about how proud they were of my maturity, but I was already walking away. I passed through the kitchen one last time, letting my fingers graze the industrial mixer I'd spent months saving for. I grabbed my bag from the office and exited out the back. What they didn't know, I'd been documenting everything: recipes, supplier contacts, staffing schedules, customer analytics. I'd quietly backed it all up, and I'd been developing a new business plan ever since James first started sniffing around with helpful suggestions. I knew my brother. He always got what he wanted, then he wrecked it. So I prepared. That night, driving home, I didn't cry. Instead, I counted the days until James proved exactly why giving him control was a mistake. It didn't take long. He started making changes immediately. Maria, my head pastry chef and the heart of the kitchen, was the first to go. Too expensive, he said. Next, he swapped our locally sourced ingredients for cheaper bulk suppliers. Our menu, gutted. Out went the unique, handcrafted items, replaced by bland, mass-produced goods from a commercial vendor. Lucy, one of my baristas, kept me in the loop via text. They scrapped the artisan breads. He took down the vintage decor. TVs everywhere now, ads on a loop, feels like a chain restaurant. I never replied, just saved every message. 3 months in, my mother called. The numbers aren't looking good, she said carefully. James says it's just growing pains, but your father is concerned. Would you consider coming back, maybe just temporarily? No, I said, then I hung up. I had moved on. I was working mornings at a bakery across town. Margaret, the owner, had been in the business for 3 decades. She became a mentor and a lifeline. She'd once lost her own bakery to an ex-husband, so she understood. Men like your brother, she told me one morning as we shaped croissants, they think it's all spreadsheets and margins, but this business, it's emotional, every detail matters, that's what keeps people coming back. She was right. James saw a brand, I had built a community. By the 4th month, Sweet Dreams was unrecognizable, and not in a good way. The food blog that once named us best bakery in Boston published a blistering review. Customers aired their disappointment on social media. James's solution? Hire a PR firm, offer coupons. He poured money into the surface, never the substance. By month 5, suppliers started reaching out to me. He's behind on invoices, they said. Is something going on over there? I logged every call, every detail, quietly assembling a dossier. 6 months to the day after James took over, my father knocked on my apartment door. He looked like he hadn't slept in weeks. We need to talk, he said. I let him in, didn't offer tea. The last time I'd offered something I baked, he gave it to James to repackage and sell. The cafe is in trouble, he said, sinking into the couch. James, he's made some serious mistakes. The bank is threatening foreclosure. I waited, silent. We need your help, Anna. The customers keep asking for you. The staff is threatening to quit. Even your mother admits we made a terrible mistake. And James? I asked. Dad's expression soured. He's already moved on, says the market was wrong, the location a bad fit, blames the economy. He's talking about starting a cryptocurrency company now. Of course he was. James never stayed long enough to deal with the consequences. How bad is it? I asked, though I already knew, from Lucy, from suppliers, from the mess he'd left behind. Bad. 3 months behind on the loan. Suppliers want cash up front. We got cited by the health inspector last week. If something doesn't change, the cafe will be closed by month's end. I stood, walked to my desk, and pulled out a thick folder, 6 months worth of documentation, supplier issues, photos of quality decline, financial records, customer complaints, a quiet case I'd built in the background, knowing this moment would come. I laid it on the table and sat across from him. Here's what's going to happen, I said. You and Mom are going to sign the business over to me, completely, no co-signing, no conditions, no family involvement. I'll take on the debt, handle the bank, and fix what James destroyed. He opened his mouth. I'm not finished, I said. You're going to write a formal letter to every employee James fired, offering to rehire them, with back pay, and you'll publish a public apology in the local paper, admitting it was a mistake to remove me. He stared at me, the daughter he'd underestimated, and in that moment, I saw it, the realization of just how badly he'd misjudged me. You've been planning for this, he said quietly. Since the day you gave him my dream, I replied. Did you really think I'd just walk away forever? 2 weeks later, I stood in my cafe again, mine, fully and finally. The paperwork was signed, the public apology printed, staff returned, recipes reinstated, soul restored. Maria was back in the kitchen, rolling dough like she never left. Lucy and the team had unpacked the vintage decor they'd saved, rehanging each piece like they were putting a heart back into a body. The local food blog ran a new feature, Sweet Dreams returns to its roots, original owner reclaims the bakery. And just like that, our regulars came flooding back, drawn by the scent of fresh bread, the warmth of the space, the return of something real. My mother stopped by on reopening day. She stood awkwardly by the counter while I piped flowers onto a wedding cake, something James had called a waste of labor. "I'm sorry," she said finally. "We should have trusted you, should have seen what you were capable of." I didn't look up. "Yes," I said, "you should have." She hesitated. "And James, will you ever forgive him?" I thought of my brother, already on to his next doomed venture, leaving behind another mess, another trail of disappointment. "He did me a favor," I said. "He showed me how strong I really am, and he showed you why you should have believed in me from the beginning." She nodded and left without another word. I turned back to my cake, to my kitchen, to the dream I'd built and rebuilt with my own hands. A year later, Sweet Dreams was thriving. The debt was under control, our reputation restored, stronger, even. I'd expanded into the space next door, opening a small baking school, teaching others the craft I loved, and the resilience it took to hold on to it. James never came back. Last I heard, the crypto startup had tanked, and he was trying house flipping. I kept one of the marketing flyers from his corporate rebranding, his face beside generic slogans, in a frame above my desk, not out of spite. As a reminder. Sometimes, you have to lose something to realize just how fiercely you'll fight to get it back. Yesterday, a young woman walked into the cafe for a job interview, fresh out of culinary school, eager, nervous, passionate. "My brother says I'm wasting my time," she said, eyes down, "says I should get a real job, in business." I smiled, setting down my rolling pin. "Let me tell you a story," I said. "A story about a baker who lost everything to her brother's business sense, and how she got it all back, and then some."